There is an ancient rule that was never written to inspire you. It was written to test you. It does not reward intelligence. It does not care about talent. And it shows no mercy to ambition without discipline. For centuries, this rule has quietly existed inside warrior traditions, monastic systems, and the harsh training halls of ancient Japan. Not spoken aloud, not taught directly, only revealed through pressure. When followed, it sharpens the mind into something calm, immovable, and lethal in its clarity. When ignored, it does something else. It causes weak minds to fracture, not immediately, not dramatically, but slowly, through distraction, ego, fear, and the unbearable weight of silence. This rule does not break people by force. It allows them to break themselves. Modern psychology has begun to rediscover what these ancient systems already knew, that most minds do not fail from stress alone. They fail from the inability to remain present when comfort disappears. This story follows a young warrior who believed strength was loud, visible, and constantly proven. He sought mastery through motion, validation, and endless effort. But his mentor understood a deeper truth, that real power is revealed not in action, but in restraint. The path ahead will not teach you how to win. It will show you why most never endure long enough to deserve mastery. And somewhere within this ancient rule, your own discipline, or collapse, quietly waits. If this lesson echoes in your heart, stay and walk the path with us. Understood. I will now begin the expansion exactly as instructed. The noise of weakness. The warrior woke before dawn, not because discipline demanded it, but because silence frightened him. In the hours before the world stirred, his mind grew loud, too loud. So he moved. Steel struck wood. Breath tore through his chest. Sweat fell like proof that he existed. Around him, others watched with admiration, mistaking motion for mastery, effort for strength. He welcomed their eyes. Without them, something inside him thinned. He trained longer than required. He spoke more than necessary. Every action carried urgency, as if stillness might erase him. Yet beneath the rhythm of exertion lived a quieter truth. When the body stopped, the mind unraveled. Thoughts raced toward fear, of being forgotten, of being ordinary, of standing still long enough to hear his own doubt. Ancient systems understood this fracture well. Modern science names it differently. A nervous system addicted to stimulation, mistaking activity for safety. The warrior did not know this. He only knew that silence felt like a locked room with no exits. And so, he kept moving. Because if he stopped, something might surface, something no blade could cut. It was in this noise that the mentor first noticed him, not for his strength, but for his inability to be still. The town admired him because admiration is cheap when it costs nothing. They mistook exhaustion for devotion, sweat for spirit, repetition for resolve. He let them. Their praise dulled the ache he refused to face. But each night, when the training grounds emptied and the torches dimmed, the noise returned, not from the world, but from within. His breath slowed. His hands rested, and that was when the fear crept closest. Not fear of death, not fear of failure, but fear of nothing happening. In stillness, the ego loses its stage. Psychologists would later call this avoidance, the compulsion to stay busy so the mind never has to confront itself. Ancient masters had a harsher name for it, weakness disguised as effort. The warrior sensed something was wrong, though he could not name it. His strength felt brittle. His discipline felt borrowed. He was building a body that obeyed commands while his spirit quietly resisted restraint. Somewhere in the dust beneath his feet, a red thread lay half buried, unnoticed, unacknowledged, waiting to be pulled. And when it was, everything he believed about strength would begin to unravel. The mentor did not interrupt his training. He interrupted something far more dangerous, the illusion that noise, was power. The mentor who spoke less. The mentor arrived without ceremony. No announcement, no correction, no approval. He stood at the edge of the training ground like a shadow that refused to move. While others shouted instruction and praised effort, he watched, eyes calm, posture still, hands folded as if holding something unseen. The warrior noticed him immediately, not because he spoke, but because he didn't. Days passed. The mentor never intervened, never nodded, never frowned. The silence began to itch, then burn. The warrior trained harder, louder, sharper, waiting for acknowledgement that never came. Each ignored display tightened something in his chest. In ancient systems, silence was never emptiness. It was pressure. Modern psychology would call it withdrawn reinforcement, the removal of validation to expose dependency. The mentor practiced it without explanation. The warrior felt judged, then invisible. Rage flickered. Doubt followed. And still, the mentor said nothing, because the test had already begun, and words would only weaken it. What the warrior mistook for indifference was the opening of a trial few were meant to survive. Silence changes shape when it is intentional. It stops being empty and starts becoming a mirror. The warrior began to feel it everywhere, in the pause before breath, in the space after exertion, in the moments where praise should have lived but did not. His thoughts grew sharper, then crueler. Am I unworthy? Am I unseen? The questions circled like birds over a field, stripped bare. The mentor remained still. He did not look away when the warrior faltered. He did not step forward when frustration crept into movement. This was not neglect. This was restraint. An ancient discipline where the teacher removes himself so the student is forced to confront what remains. Neuroscience confirms what the old systems practiced. When external validation disappears, the ego panics. The mind searches for approval the way lungs search for air. Those who cannot tolerate the absence reveal their dependence. The warrior felt exposed, stripped, as if a burned ledger inside him had been opened. Every hidden hunger laid bare. And for the first time, he wondered if his strength had always belonged to someone else's gaze. The mentor finally shifted his weight, just slightly. Not a lesson, not a word. But enough to signal that the next phase would be quieter and far more dangerous. Soon, the warrior would learn that the most brutal rule is never explained. It is endured. The rule that was never explained. The rule was never spoken aloud. It was delivered the way storms are, without explanation, without apology. The mentor pointed to an empty space beside the training hall. No weapons, no movement, no instruction beyond a single gesture downward. Sit, remain, endure. At first, it felt simple, almost insulting. The warrior obeyed, spine straight, jaw set, waiting for the next command that never came. Minutes stretched, then hours. The body softened, the mind did not. Thoughts arrived like insects drawn to stillness. Irritation, memory, imagined judgment. He noticed how loudly his ego demanded proof of progress. How violently his attention searched for escape. Ancient systems designed this deliberately. Modern neuroscience agrees. The nervous system panics when stimulation is removed. Weak minds chase relief. Strong minds observe the craving without feeding it. By the third day, doubt sharpened into resentment. Why am I being ignored? What is this proving? The rule answered nothing. It only waited. And as the silence deepened, something inside him began to fracture, quietly, invisibly, without witnesses. Stillness does not stay empty for long. It fills with whatever you have been avoiding. The warrior felt it on the fifth night, when the world grew so quiet he could hear his own pulse in his ears. Regret surfaced first, moments he had buried beneath effort. Then envy, then fear, not of pain, but of meaninglessness. Of being nothing when no one was watching. His posture began to fail, his breath shortened. The urge to move became physical, almost violent. Ancient records describe this stage as the breaking wind, the moment before the mind either collapses or settles. Psychology names it differently: cognitive distress caused by the withdrawal of stimulation. The mentor observed from a distance, hands clasped behind his back, eyes steady. He did not intervene when the warrior's jaw tightened, when his fists trembled. The rule allowed no rescue. A red thread lay tied around the warrior's wrist, unnoticed until now. It had been there since childhood, a symbol of direction, of belonging. In stillness, it felt heavy, almost accusatory. He realized then that silence was not rejecting him, it was exposing him. And what it revealed was a self that had never learned to remain present without performance. Transition. Somewhere between endurance and collapse, the warrior crossed into a trial no one warned him about, the one where minds quietly abandon the path. Collapse is not loud. Collapse did not arrive like a storm. It arrived like a thought. A single question the warrior could not silence. What if this is meaningless? His body still sat where it was told, but inside something fractured. The discipline that once felt sharp now felt pointless. The mentor's silence no longer felt intentional, it felt cruel. Abandonment disguised as wisdom. He began to count days, then hours, then breaths. Each measurement was an escape hatch, a way to do something instead of remain. His mind rehearsed exits, excuses, justifications. I have learned enough. I could train elsewhere. Real strength requires motion. Ancient records speak of this stage in hushed language. They never call it failure. They call it turning away. Modern psychology sees the same pattern. When the ego is unseen for too long, it invents urgency. Fear reframes stillness as decay. The nervous system begs for stimulation, any stimulation, even chaos. The warrior felt it clearly now. Not pain, not defeat, but the unbearable itch to leave. And in that quiet urge to abandon the path, the oldest mistake of all waited patiently to be chosen. He did not stand up. That was the cruelest part. Outwardly, nothing changed. The town still passed. The wind still moved through the cedars. The mentor still watched from a distance. But internally, the warrior had already begun to withdraw. Discipline remained in posture only. Spirit loosened its grip. This is how most paths are abandoned, without ceremony, without witnesses. A decision made quietly, rehearsed slowly, justified carefully. The ego whispers that departure is maturity, that leaving is wisdom, that those who endure are naive. In the old scrolls, this moment is marked by a symbol, a cracked seal, not broken by force, but weakened by neglect. Modern neuroscience would recognize it as cognitive drift, attention disengaging, commitment dissolving long before action follows. The warrior imagined the relief of movement, of noise, of being seen again. His fear sharpened into certainty. Stillness is making me smaller. But he was wrong. Stillness was making him visible, to himself. As night fell, the red thread around his wrist frayed slightly against the stone. He noticed it for the first time since childhood, a reminder of the path he did not choose, but inherited. And in that awareness, something inside him hovered, not yet gone, but no longer anchored. Transition. Only those who survive this silent fracture ever learn what silence was truly preparing them for. Silence as a weapon. The shift did not announce itself. It arrived the way dawn does, unnoticed until the light is already there. The warrior's breath changed first. Slower, deeper. No longer something he controlled, but something he allowed. The urge to escape softened. The itch to move faded into the background like a sound that no longer demanded attention. He stopped asking the silence to explain itself. This was the moment ancient systems guarded most closely. the point where resistance dissolves and presence takes its place. Neuroscience would later describe it as nervous system regulation, the mind learning it does not need stimulation to survive, the fear response loosening its grip. The mentor finally spoke. One sentence, no warmth, no pride. You are still here. Not praise, confirmation. The warrior felt it then, not strength, but steadiness, the absence of urgency, the quiet realization that fear had been loud only because he had been listening. Silence was not emptiness. It was a weapon, one that cut ego before it ever touched flesh. What had been forged in stillness would soon be tested beyond the training ground. With the resistance gone, something unfamiliar took its place. Clarity without effort. The warrior noticed the world differently now. Sounds arrived, then left, without pulling him. Thoughts appeared, then dissolved, without demand. He was no longer bracing against himself. Ancient texts describe this phase with careful restraint. They warn that those who reach it often mistake calm for completion. But this calm was not an ending. It was alignment. The inner and outer no longer fought for dominance. Modern science echoes the same truth. A mind that can remain present without stimulation becomes unshaken under pressure. Cortisol lowers, focus sharpens. Fear loses its leverage because it has nothing to threaten. The mentor watched him stand for the first time since the trial began. No rush, no display, just movement without urgency. A locked drawer inside him had opened, not to reveal power, but to remove noise. The red thread around his wrist no longer felt heavy. It felt quiet, integrated, no longer a reminder of obligation, but of direction. The town did not notice the change. That was the point. Real strength does not announce itself. It rearranges the way the world touches you. Yet mastery is never proven in stillness alone. The final test waits where silence must walk among noise. The path beyond the ego. The warrior returned to the town without announcement. No new posture, no sharpened blade, no visible mark of change. And yet, everything had shifted. He spoke less, not because he had nothing to say, but because words no longer rushed him. When others reacted, he waited. When tension rose, he did not mirror it. His presence felt heavier now, not oppressive, but grounded, like a stone that does not argue with the river. The town sensed it before they understood it. Conversations slowed around him. Arguments lost their urgency. Even noise seemed to lower itself in his vicinity, as if something unspoken had entered the air. Ancient systems describe this stage carefully. They warn that mastery is invisible to those who seek spectacle. Modern psychology would say the ego has loosened its grip, the need to prove, defend, or dominate dissolving into observation. The warrior no longer chased strength. He carried it, quietly, without hunger. But mastery never announces completion. It waits to see if silence can survive the world. And in that waiting, the final truth of the ancient rule began to press against him. The mentor did not follow him back. That absence was the final instruction. The warrior moved through the familiar streets as if through a remembered dream. Faces searched him for signs, triumph, arrogance, declaration. He offered none. When challenged, he did not rise. When praised, he did not absorb. His discipline no longer depended on outcome. Ancient texts hint at this moment with restraint. They say the ego does not die. It thins. It loses its appetite. Modern science agrees in quieter language. Identity loosens when attention stops clinging. The mind becomes less reactive, more selective. Presence replaces performance. Yet something unsettled him. In the evenings when the town fell quiet, he felt the old urge flicker, not to move, but to explain, to translate what had happened, to make silence understandable. The red thread at his wrist caught on a nail outside his door, tugging once, then holding. He did not pull it free, because mastery is not the absence of temptation, it is the refusal to obey it. The ancient rule had done its work. But the path does not end when strength is earned. It tests whether strength can remain unspoken, even when no one is watching. And as the night settled, the warrior realized something that disturbed him deeply. Silence had shaped him, but it was still watching to see if he would betray it.